My girlfriend spat on my face when I proposed to her in front of my entire family on Christmas, saying, "Ew, this ring is small and pathetic just like you." So I dumped her on the spot. Now she is begging me to come back. All right, Reddit. So I proposed to my girlfriend of 3 years on Christmas Eve in front of my whole family. She rejected the ring, called it pathetic, admitted she'd been cheating with her ex for months, then walked out. 4 months later, she had a criminal record. Her better man had a broken nose and no job. Karma works faster than I thought. Grab a chair and enjoy the shit show. I, 29M, have been with my girlfriend Aurora, 28F, for 3 years. I met her at a mutual friend's birthday back when I was 26. She was wearing this sundress. I thought she was the most beautiful woman I'd ever seen. We hit it off immediately. We talked for hours about nothing and everything. She gave me her number. Started dating a week later. Aurora moved into my apartment after 6 months. Said her lease was up and it made sense financially. Except financially for her, I paid rent, utilities, groceries, everything. She had a job at some boutique downtown, part-time, making maybe $15 an hour. But somehow her entire paycheck disappeared on clothes, nails, hair appointments, lunches with friends. I covered dinner every single time we went out. Covered her car insurance when she said she was short 1 month, then the next month, then it just became my bill. Every time I brought it up, she'd get defensive. Say I was being controlling. Say if I really loved her, I wouldn't keep score. Say her job didn't pay well, and I made good money. So what was the problem? I loved her. I kept telling myself it would balance out eventually. That once she got a better job or we got married, things would even out. Which brings us to Christmas Eve. I'd been planning this proposal for 2 months. Found a jeweler through a guy at work. Picked out what I thought was a perfect ring. Not the biggest diamond in the store, but quality. Good cut, good clarity. The kind of ring that said I loved her without being unnecessarily flashy about it. 2 months salary, $8,200 after taxes, financing, and the warranty I stupidly bought. That's what I spent. Money that could have gone toward a down payment on a house, or a new car, or literally anything else. But I wanted her to feel special. Wanted that moment to be perfect. My family was hosting Christmas Eve dinner. Mom had cooked her famous prime rib. Dad was telling his usual holiday stories that everyone had heard a million times, but still laughed at. My sister Kelsey and her husband were playing with their kids by the tree. The house smelled like cinnamon and pine and everything good about the holidays. Everything felt perfect. I waited until after dinner, when everyone was gathered in the living room. My hands were shaking when I pulled out the ring box. I'd rehearsed this moment in my head 100 times. Knew exactly what I wanted to say. "Aurora," I said, getting down on one knee. "I love you. I want to spend the rest of my life with you. Will you marry me?" The room went completely silent. Everyone was smiling, phones out, ready to capture the big moment. Mom had her hand over her heart. Dad was grinning. Kelsey looked like she might cry happy tears. Aurora looked at the ring. Then she looked at me. And her face did something I'd never seen before. This expression somewhere between disgust and genuine anger. Like I'd just insulted her entire bloodline. "Are you serious right now?" she said. Not exactly the response I was hoping for. "What do you mean?" "This ring. Are you pranking me right now?" My brain kind of short-circuited for a second. What? It's small. Small? Aurora? That's an $8,200 ring. Not for an engagement ring, it's not. My friend Ashley got a way bigger ring last year. And you're here offering me this like I'm supposed to be grateful? I just stared at her, trying to process what was happening. The room was still silent, but now it was the uncomfortable kind. The kind where everyone's trying to figure out if they should intervene or pretend they're not hearing this. My mom looked shocked. Dad's smile had completely disappeared. Kelsey's mouth was literally hanging open. "Aurora, what are you doing?" She looked at me with pure disgust. Then she did something I never expected. She leaned forward and spat in my face. "That's what I think of your cheap, pathetic ring." The room went from uncomfortable silence to absolutely frozen. Nobody moved. Nobody breathed. My mom actually gasped out loud. I could hear my sister's kids stop playing, sensing something was very wrong. I just stood there with spit running down my cheek, still holding that ring box. Something in me snapped. 3 years of funding her life. 3 years of being told I was controlling for wanting basic respect. 3 years of covering every expense while she spent her money on whatever she wanted, and now this, in front of my entire family. I wiped my face with my sleeve. "You know what?" I said, my voice completely calm. "We're done." Aurora's face went pale. "What?" "We're done. Pack your stuff and get out of my apartment. You can't just break up with me." I literally just did. "Get out." She looked around the room like someone was going to defend her. Nobody moved. My mom was staring at her with pure contempt. Dad looked like he wanted to throw her out himself. My sister Kelsey just shook her head in disbelief. Aurora's shock turned to rage. "Fine," she said, her voice getting louder. "You want to know the truth? I'm still in love with Oliver. My ex. The one I told you not to worry about. He's 10 times the man you'll ever be. He actually knows how to treat a woman right. He doesn't keep score, he doesn't make me feel cheap." The room somehow got even quieter. I've been seeing him for months. And you know what? I'm going to him right now. He wanted me back and I kept saying no because I thought you'd step up. But this? She gestured at the ring. "This is pathetic. You're pathetic." She grabbed her purse and coat, started walking toward the door. My dad actually stood up like he was going to say something, but Mom put her hand on his arm. Aurora stopped at the door, looked back at me one more time and said, "Oliver would have gotten me the ring I actually deserve." Then she walked out. Didn't slam the door. Just closed it quietly behind her. The silence that followed was the loudest thing I've ever heard. Dad put his hand on my shoulder. Mom looked like she wanted to chase Aurora down and fight her in the driveway. Kelsey was already pulling up Aurora's social media on her phone, ready to dig for information. I didn't sleep that night. Just sat in my apartment surrounded by Aurora's stuff, thinking about everything she'd said. She'd been cheating on me the entire time, at least 6 months, maybe longer. That night, I stopped being sad and started being angry. The day after Christmas, I woke up in my apartment surrounded by Aurora's stuff. 3 years of accumulated junk from someone who no longer wanted anything to do with me. I gave her until noon to come get her things. Sent a text that was short and to the point. You have until noon to pick up your stuff. After that, it's going on the curb. She didn't respond. At 12:30, I started packing. Everything she'd left at my place over 3 years. Clothes, shoes, makeup, jewelry, books, everything. I just started throwing it out my second-floor apartment window into the parking lot below. Dresses landed in slush puddles, shoes scattered across the asphalt. That designer purse I'd bought her for her birthday landed right in a puddle of dirty snowmelt. It was December 26th. Cold, wet, perfect weather for ruining someone's belongings. By 2 p.m., everything was scattered across the parking lot like the world's most expensive yard sale had exploded. I took a photo, sent it to her with a message. Your stuff is outside. You have 1 hour before I donate it to whoever wants to pick through it. 5 minutes later, my phone rang. Aurora, are you insane? You can't just throw my stuff out. Already did. Those are expensive items. Better hurry then, it's starting to snow again. Oliver's with me. He'll make you regret this if you don't bring everything back inside right now. I actually laughed. I'd love to see him try. I'll be waiting right here. She hung up. 30 minutes later, a beat-up Ford Focus pulled into the parking lot. Out stepped Aurora and presumably Oliver. He was exactly what I expected. Gym rat. Tight shirt showing off arms that spent more time lifting weights than his brain spent on thoughts. The kind of guy who films himself working out and posts it with captions about grinding and hustling. Aurora looked rough, hair messy, no makeup, wearing yesterday's clothes. She stumbled a little getting out of the car, squinting against the winter sun like it personally offended her. She ran to her scattered belongings, making these dramatic sounds like someone had killed her dog. Oliver walked up to me with his chest puffed out. That classic tough guy stance that guys like him practice in mirrors. You got a problem, bro? Just cleaning out trash. His face got red. You calling Aurora trash? If the shoe fits. Speaking of shoes, there's one in that puddle over there. He stepped closer. I didn't move. We were about 5 feet apart now, close enough that I could smell whatever cheap cologne he'd bathed in. Oliver, just help me load the car, Aurora called out, arms full of wet clothes. But Oliver was committed to his tough guy routine now. Aurora was watching. He had to perform. Nah, this dude needs to learn some respect. You don't treat women like this. Really? You're about to have a problem if you don't shut your mouth. Aurora had stopped picking up her things. She was watching now, this excited look on her face like she was hoping for a show. Do it, babe, she said. Teach him a lesson. And that's when Oliver made his mistake. He actually took a swing at me. I'd been waiting for it. Guys like Oliver telegraph everything. They wind up too much. Make it obvious. I sidestepped, and his fist sailed past my face, putting him completely off balance. Before he could recover, I grabbed his extended arm and yanked him forward hard, using his own momentum against him. He stumbled forward, arms windmilling. I didn't give him time to catch himself. I stepped in and drove my shoulder into his chest, shoving him backward. At the same time, I hooked my foot behind his ankle. Oliver went down hard on the pavement. The sound his back made hitting the asphalt was satisfying. He tried to get up immediately, that gym bro pride kicking in. But as he pushed himself up to his hands and knees, I was already moving. I grabbed the back of his head and slammed his face into the pavement. Not with all my strength, but hard enough. His nose made a crunching sound. Blood immediately started pouring onto the asphalt. Stay down, I said. Oliver, Aurora screamed. I stood over him, breathing hard but steady. Oliver was making these wet gurgling sounds, hands going to his face. Blood was running between his fingers. His nose was already swelling, bent at an angle that definitely wasn't natural. You broke his nose! Aurora was screaming now, running over. I defended myself. Not my problem, he's all show and no actual ability to fight. You're a monster! He attacked me on my property. That's called self-defense. You might want to get him to a hospital, though. That nose looks bad. Oliver was trying to get up but couldn't coordinate his movements. The fight was completely out of him now. He just sat there on the pavement, blood running between his fingers, looking like he might pass out. Aurora was trying to help him up, but he was dead weight. Get in the car, she said. Get in the car, baby. She practically dragged him to the Focus. He was leaning on her hard, stumbling, leaving a trail of blood drops across the parking lot. She opened the passenger door, shoved him in, then ran around to the driver's side. The car started, and she peeled out of the parking lot, leaving most of her stuff still scattered in the snow. I went back inside, washed my hands, made some coffee, and sat down to watch The Godfather. 3 hours later, she came back. Alone this time, I was watching from my window when her car pulled up. She got out and just stood there for a minute, looking at her ruined belongings in the parking lot. Then she started picking things up, crying while she did it, making multiple trips to her car. She looked exhausted, still wearing the same clothes, makeup smeared from crying. On the third trip, she looked up at my window, saw me watching. That's when she snapped. She grabbed a wet dress and threw it at my building, then a shoe, then a book. She was holding one of her high heels, gesturing wildly at my window, and screaming something I couldn't hear through the glass. I called the police. Hey, I need officers at the Riverside Apartments on Oak Street. My ex-girlfriend is destroying her own property in the parking lot and causing a disturbance. Aurora had moved on from throwing her own stuff to throwing whatever she could find, rocks from the landscaping, a piece of wood from somewhere. She was completely out of control, still waving that high heel around while she yelled. A police car pulled up within 5 minutes. 2 cops got out. Aurora saw them and immediately tried to compose herself. Straightened up, wiped her face, tried to look like a rational human being. Ma'am, we got a call about a disturbance. That man. She pointed at my window with the shoe still in her hand, but her aim was off, gesturing vaguely in the wrong direction. He threw all my belongings out of his apartment and then attacked my boyfriend. The cops looked at each other. One of them stepped closer to Aurora. Ma'am, are you all right? You look unwell. I'm fine. I'm just upset because, ma'am, is this your property? Yes, he threw it all out. So you're disturbing the peace over your own belongings that are on private property? He can't just throw my stuff out. If you don't live there, he actually can. You need to collect your belongings and leave, or we'll have to cite you for disturbing the peace. Aurora was shaking now, exhaustion mixing with rage. She kept glancing between the cops in my window. This is all his fault. He's the one who should be arrested. She was gesturing wildly with both hands now, the shoe still gripped tight. Ma'am, you need to calm down and collect your things. I am calm, she screamed, which really didn't help her case. One of the officers stepped closer, hand out like he was approaching a spooked animal. Ma'am, we're going to need you to put that shoe down and take a breath. I don't need to calm down. I need him arrested. The officer reached for her arm. Ma'am, let's talk about this calmly. And that's when Aurora completely lost it. She jerked her arm away from the officer and shoved him hard in the chest with both hands. Everything stopped. The cop she'd shoved looked down at his chest, looked at his partner, looked back at Aurora. Ma'am, you just assaulted a police officer. Turn around and put your hands behind your back. What? No, he was grabbing me. I was defending myself. Turn around now. It was self-defense. But even as she said it, you could see the reality dawning on her face. The understanding that she'd just crossed a line there was no coming back from. The other cop moved in. Within 30 seconds, Aurora was in handcuffs, screaming about how this was unfair, and I had orchestrated everything. They put her in the back of the police car. One of the cops came up to my apartment to get a statement. I told him everything, showed him the texts, explained the situation. She's being charged with assaulting a peace officer and disturbing the peace, he said. What about all her stuff? That's between you two. But if I were you, I'd have it removed by tomorrow so there's no reason for her to come back. After they left with Aurora screaming in the back seat, I called a junk removal company, paid them $200 to come pick up everything in the parking lot and haul it away. Best $200 I ever spent. The next morning, I filed for a temporary restraining order, citing the Christmas rejection, the cheating, the parking lot incident, and her arrest. The judge granted it immediately. Aurora wasn't allowed within 500 feet of me, my apartment, or my workplace. The next morning, I woke up to 17 missed calls from unknown numbers. Voicemails from Aurora's mom, her sister, her friends. All of them screaming at me for getting Aurora arrested, for throwing out her stuff, for ruining her life. I blocked every single number and went to work. Work was good. Work was a place where people acted like adults. I spent the day reviewing blueprints for a new office complex downtown, double-checking calculations, making sure everything was up to code, normal stuff that didn't involve psychotic ex-girlfriends. But work was also weird that day. My coworkers kept looking at me like they wanted to say something, but didn't know how. Brian finally came by my desk during lunch, sat down, and just said, "Man, I heard. That's rough." Nobody else knew what to say. They'd all met Aurora at company events. A few people awkwardly patted my shoulder throughout the day. One woman from accounting brought me homemade cookies and then immediately looked horrified at her choice, like cookies were now a sensitive topic. During the afternoon, I got an email from a number I didn't recognize. When I opened it, my blood pressure immediately spiked. It was from Oliver, or someone using Oliver's name. Subject line: "We need to talk." The email was exactly what you'd expect. Lots of posturing about how I'd attacked him, how I was going to pay for what I did, how he was going to make sure everyone knew what kind of person I really was, how he was going to contact my employer and tell them I was violent and unstable. I forwarded it to my personal email for documentation and blocked him. 2 hours later, another email. This one longer, more detailed, and significantly more threatening. He was going to find where I worked. He was going to post about me on social media. He was going to make my life miserable. I forwarded that one too. The next morning, Oliver made good on part of his threat. He'd found my company's public email and sent a message to what he thought was my boss, but was actually the general HR inbox. The email was incredible. He claimed I was unstable, dangerous, and shouldn't be trusted around clients or projects. He said I'd violently attacked him without provocation. He demanded they fire me immediately for being a liability. The problem with this strategy? He sent it from his work email. His signature line listed his employer, Prestige Fitness, where he was apparently a personal trainer. Our HR manager called me into her office that afternoon. "Hey Carter, I got a weird email about you this morning. Want to explain what's going on?" I told her everything. The proposal, the rejection, the stuff in the parking lot. The fight, Aurora's arrest, everything. I showed her the emails Oliver had sent me. I showed her the police report from Aurora's arrest and the restraining order paperwork. She listened to everything, took notes, and nodded. Okay, so this guy is your ex-girlfriend's boyfriend, and he's harassing you at work because you defended yourself when he attacked you? That's accurate. And he sent this email from his work address at a gym? Yep. She looked thoughtful. I'm going to contact his employer and let them know one of their employees is using company resources to harass and threaten our staff. I'll need your permission to share relevant details. You have it. Give me a few weeks to handle this properly through official channels. I didn't ask what she had planned. I just said thank you and went back to work. 3 weeks later, Oliver's Instagram went dark. His public Facebook post disappeared. His profile on Prestige Fitness's website was gone. Brian came by my desk around noon. Hey, did you see? That trainer who was harassing you got fired. How'd you hear about that? My wife goes to Prestige Fitness. Apparently, the owner got an email from your HR explaining that one of his trainers was using company resources to harass and threaten people. They reviewed his emails and fired him last week. Our HR manager was an absolute legend. She'd contacted Prestige Fitness's corporate office, explained the situation in clear legal terms, and let them know their employee was creating liability exposure corporate had called the franchise owner. The franchise owner had reviewed Oliver's emails. Oliver was unemployed within days of that conversation. I didn't feel bad about it even a little bit. 2 days later, my phone rang. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. Hello? This is Oliver. His voice sounded different, smaller, broken. Nothing to talk about. Look, man, I messed up. I shouldn't have tried to fight you. I shouldn't have sent those emails. I need you to understand something. I don't need to understand anything. Please, just listen for 1 minute. Against my better judgment, I didn't hang up. After you broke my nose, Aurora and I got back to my place. I thought she'd be worried about me. My nose was definitely broken. I couldn't breathe. My whole face was swollen. I looked like I'd been hit by a truck. He paused. I heard him take a shaky breath. She was angry. Not at you, at me. She started screaming at me about how I was supposed to defend her, how I was supposed to handle you, and I failed. She called me pathetic, called me weak, said a real man would have protected her. I said nothing. Then she hit me, slapped me across the face, said I embarrassed her, that I made her look stupid in front of you. Oliver, I'm a coward, okay? I know that now I attacked you because she wanted me to. I sent those emails because I thought it would make her happy. I did everything she wanted because I thought, I don't even know what I thought. Why are you telling me this? Because I'm sorry. I'm genuinely sorry. You were right about everything. She's not worth it. None of this was worth it. I lost my job, I lost my apartment because I can't pay rent now, and I lost whatever self-respect I had left. Silence. Anyway, yeah, look, I just wanted to apologize. For all of it. You didn't deserve any of that. You were just defending yourself and your property. I was the one who made it physical. That's on me. Okay. He hung up. I sat there for a minute, phone still in my hand, thinking about what kind of person could manipulate someone that completely 3.5 months passed. 3.5 months of peace, quiet, and absolutely no drama. I went to work, hung out with friends, visited my parents on weekends, started going to the gym more, picked up hobbies I'd ignored while dating Aurora. My apartment was mine again. I'd taken down all the pictures of us and replaced them with actual art. Bought new furniture that I actually liked instead of stuff Aurora had insisted on. Even got a dog, a rescue mutt named Max, who was just happy to have a home. Life was simple, uncomplicated, exactly what I needed. Brian kept trying to set me up with his wife's friend from church. I went on one date with her. She was nice, sweet, but I wasn't ready for anything serious. Told her that honestly, and she appreciated it. Dated a few other people casually. Nothing serious, nothing complicated. Just regular adult dating where both people had jobs and paid for their own stuff and didn't expect me to fund their entire existence. It was refreshing. My sister Kelsey kept tabs on Aurora through social media. Apparently Aurora had moved back in with her parents, was working at her dad's company doing some administrative thing, had deleted most of her social media posts. She looks miserable, Kelsey reported during a family dinner in early April. Like genuinely miserable, posted some quote about betrayal and trust issues yesterday. Good, Mom said, not even looking up from her plate. She earned it. Dad just shook his head. Still can't believe she rejected you on Christmas Eve. In my day, that would have been grounds for a public shaming. In your day, people got married at 20 and stayed together out of spite, I said. Exactly. And look how well that worked out. Mom threw a roll at him. Life was good, normal, the way it was supposed to be. And then, in mid-April, Aurora decided to make one final appearance. I'd been seeing someone casually. Her name was Sophia. She was a nurse at the hospital downtown. Normal person. Paid her own bills. Had her own car. Didn't expect me to fund her lifestyle. One Saturday afternoon in mid-April, Sophia and I were at my apartment watching a movie. Max was lying on the floor. Everything was calm and peaceful. Then someone knocked on my door. I got up, looked through the peephole, and there she was, Aurora, standing in my hallway holding what looked like a plate covered in aluminum foil. I opened the door. Aurora looked different, thinner, tired. Her hair wasn't done the way she used to keep it. She wasn't wearing makeup. She was in jeans and a regular t-shirt instead of the designer stuff she used to insist on. Hey, she said quietly. Her voice was soft, almost sweet. What do you want, Aurora? I just wanted to talk. Can I come in? She held up the plate. I made you cookies. Your favorite, chocolate chip. I remembered you always liked the ones with extra chips. You can't be here. There's a restraining order. I know. But I wanted to apologize. For everything. She looked down at the plate, then back at me. Please. Just 5 minutes. I won't cause any trouble, I promise. Sophia appeared behind me. Hey, everything okay? Aurora's eyes went to Sophia. Her whole body went rigid. The sweet expression cracked immediately. Who the heck is this? Aurora, you need to leave. Now. No. Her voice was rising. You moved on already? It's been what, 3 months? And you've already replaced me? I'm calling the police, I said, pulling out my phone. With her? Aurora's eyes were locked on Sophia now, pupils dilated, breathing getting faster. You're seriously with this nobody? After everything we had? Sophia stepped back instinctively. I moved slightly to block Aurora's view of her. Aurora, leave right now or I'm calling 911. I came here to apologize, she screamed. I made you cookies. I spent all morning trying to make them perfect, and you're standing there with some random girl you probably met 5 minutes ago. I started dialing, don't you dare. Aurora's voice dropped low, dangerous. Don't you dare call them. You're violating a restraining order. You need to leave. I need to leave? I need to leave? She was screaming now. I gave you 3 years of my life. 3 years. And you throw me away for her? She looked past me at Sophia, who had backed up further into the apartment. Max was starting to bark. You think you're special? Aurora yelled at Sophia. You think he actually cares about you? He's just using you to get over me. You're nothing. A rebound. A placeholder. Until he realizes what he lost. Aurora, I started. She cut me off. I was supposed to marry you. That ring, as pathetic as it was, that was supposed to be mine. We were supposed to have a life together. And you're just going to give all of that to her? We're done. We've been done since Christmas. You made that choice. I made a mistake. Tears were streaming down her face now, but her expression was pure rage. People make mistakes, but apparently you're too perfect to forgive anyone. She pulled back the aluminum foil from the plate. The cookies looked burnt, rock solid. She grabbed one. You don't want my apology? You don't want these cookies? Fine. She threw it. Hard. It sailed past my head and hit the wall behind me with a dull thud, leaving a mark on the paint. Aurora, stop! But she was already grabbing another cookie. And another. Throwing them wildly. One hit the doorframe. One flew past into the apartment. They weren't breaking on impact. They were solid as rocks. 911, what's your emergency? The call had connected. My ex-girlfriend is violating a restraining order and throwing things. Aurora dropped the plate cookies scattered across the hallway floor. But she wasn't looking at them anymore. She was looking at Sophia. You, she hissed. This is all your fault. She lunged, not at me, at Sophia. Trying to get around me, hands reaching, face twisted with rage, I grabbed her arm, yanking her back. She stumbled but recovered fast, shoving against me, trying to get through the doorway. Get away from him! She screamed at Sophia. He's mine. He's always been mine. Sophia had moved to the far side of the living room. Max was going insane, barking and circling. Aurora was clawing at my arms now, trying to push past me. I held the door, using my body to block the entrance. She was surprisingly strong, fueled by pure adrenaline and rage. Sir, are you still there? The operator asked. Yes, she's trying to force her way in and attack my girlfriend. Officers are 3 minutes out. Stay on the line. Aurora kept shoving, reaching around me. Her nails caught my forearm, leaving scratches. She was crying and screaming incoherently now. You ruined everything. I was going to fix it. I was going to make it right. She grabbed one of the fallen cookies from the hallway floor, wound up, and threw it at Sophia's head. Sophia ducked. The cookie sailed over her and shattered against the window with a crack that made me think for a second the glass had broken. I hate you, Aurora screamed at Sophia. I hate you so much. She bent down, grabbing more cookies, throwing them into the apartment. They were like projectiles. One hit the TV. One hit the couch. One hit the lamp. Then the sirens started. Aurora heard them too. Her eyes went wide. She looked at me, then at the stairs, then back at me. No, she said. No, you didn't actually call them. I told you I would. But I just wanted to talk. I just wanted you back. 2 officers appeared at the top of the stairs. They took in the scene immediately. Aurora, standing in the hallway surrounded by scattered cookies, nail marks on my arms, cookies littering my apartment floor. Ma'am, step away from the door, one officer said. Aurora spun to face them. He attacked me. I came here peacefully, and he attacked me. The officer looked at me, looked at the scratches on my arms, at Sophia standing in the back of the apartment looking terrified, at Max barking his head off. Sir, are you all right? I'm fine. She violated a restraining order, tried to force her way into my apartment, and attacked my girlfriend. That's not true, Aurora shouted. I came here to apologize. I made him cookies and he freaked out. The second officer bent down and picked up one of the cookies from the hallway. He squeezed it, looked at his partner with raised eyebrows. Ma'am, what exactly is in these? Concrete mix? They're cookies. He bounced it in his palm like testing the weight of a baseball. These aren't cookies. These are weapons. I could knock someone out with one of these. His partner was trying not to smile. Did you forget to add baking soda or something? Stop making fun of my cookies, Aurora screamed. I'm not making fun. I'm genuinely concerned about the structural integrity. My kids make better cookies with that pre-made dough from the store. He looked at me. Sir, did any of these hit you? A few hit the walls. One hit my TV. He examined one of the cookies that had broken against the doorframe. Yeah, I can see why. These things are dangerous. Ma'am, you're under arrest for violating a restraining order, attempted assault, and criminal mischief. What? No, this is insane. I just wanted to talk to him. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. Aurora started crying harder, but this time it was desperate, panicked crying. She tried to pull away when the officer reached for her arm. Don't touch me. I didn't do anything wrong. Ma'am, put your hands behind your back. No, this isn't fair. He's the one who ruined everything. They had to physically turn her around and cuff her. She was still crying, still arguing, still insisting this was all a misunderstanding. The first officer stayed to get statements while his partner walked Aurora down to the patrol car. We could hear her screaming all the way down the stairs. I showed him the restraining order on my phone. Gave him the full rundown of what happened. Sophia gave her statement too. Voice shaky but clear. He took photos of everything. The scattered cookies, the marks on the walls and TV, the scratches on my arms, the dent in the doorframe where one particularly aggressive cookie had hit. She'll be charged with multiple counts, he said. Violating the restraining order is serious. The attempted assault and property damage add to it. With the injuries to you and the threat to your girlfriend, the DA will likely push for jail time. How much? Depends on her record and the plea deal, if she takes one. But I'd expect at least 30 to 60 days, plus probation and anger management. After he left, Sophia and I stood in my apartment looking at the cookie debris on the floor. Max had finally calmed down and was sniffing the cookies suspiciously. So, Sophia said carefully, that was your ex? Yep. She tried to attack me with homemade weapons disguised as cookies. Essentially. Sophia looked at the broken pieces scattered everywhere. The marks on the walls. The scratches on my arms. This is a lot for a sixth date. That's fair. But call me once you've cleaned up. And maybe once you know she's definitely going to jail for a while. She paused. And maybe invest in a doorbell camera. She kissed me on the cheek and left. I stood there alone with Max, who had finally decided the cookies weren't worth investigating. Don't try to eat those, I told him. You'll break all your teeth. I took photos of everything for my records and started making calls. First to Kelsey, then to my landlord about the damage. He showed up an hour later. He looked at the cookie debris on my floor, the mark on the wall, the small dent in the doorframe, picked up one of the broken cookies and examined it. So, he said slowly, your ex-girlfriend did this? Yeah, with cookies. He squeezed the cookie fragment between his fingers. It didn't budge. What kind of cookie is this hard? Did she use cement? No baking soda, apparently, and way too much flour. He actually laughed. Well, that's a first. In 30 years of being a landlord, I've seen a lot of things. Never seen someone weaponize baked goods. He looked at the wall damage. You're going to need to cover the repairs. Spackle, paint, and I'll need to check that doorframe. She's being charged. I'll handle whatever needs to be done. Good, document everything. Photos, police reports, the whole thing. He paused. And maybe next time, don't open the door. Lesson learned. 6 months later, I got a call from the DA's office. Aurora had taken a plea deal. 45 days in county jail, 18 months probation, mandatory anger management counseling, and restitution for damages. The restitution included the wall repairs, door frame fix, TV screen replacement, and my medical costs for the arm scratches. Total came to $1,240. The restraining order got extended for another 5 years. I never heard from her again. Sophia and I are still together. Max loves her. My family loves her. She pays for her own stuff, has her own life, and treats me like an equal partner instead of a walking ATM. That $8,200 ring is sitting in a safe deposit box. Maybe one day I'll use it for someone who actually deserves it. Maybe I'll sell it. Haven't decided yet.